Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. As with all my videos, it's using non-best in slot gear, minimal to no perks, and no set rotations. As always, just remember that our goal here is not optimal rotations, it's not fast kills, and it's not peak performance. I'm here just to help show you what you're capable of, even if you don't know it yet. Better kills come with time and practice, and right now is the best time to start. With that, good luck with everything you do, and I hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Hey guys, and welcome to a new guide. Today we're going to be going over how to kill regular necks. So to start, in order to access this fight, you need to get the frozen key from all the bosses in God War's dungeon. Basically, you get one section from either farming the room or killing the boss, however you want to go about it. And once you get all four, you can combine them, and that gives you access. Then it's the similar concept. You need the 40 kill count in order to get in here. However, you can skip that if you get the ceremonial robes. Those are buyable. I think like the whole set's probably going to run under 2 mil, so it'll definitely pay for itself very quickly. And then finally, you can talk to this person here, and if you pay them 10 mil and you like give them a set, or you can basically kind of allow for permanent banking instance, the whole instant teleport, and no need for the robes or anything forever. So if you plan on farming this boss out, if you plan on doing a lot of these, I would highly recommend doing that as soon as you can. Aside from that, we are going to move right on into the inventory, the preset, my action bar, and then we'll get right into it. So for starters, for our inventory, we just have the Ritual Shard and the Enhanced Excalibur for free health and prayer. I always have the Holy Wrench. It's just kind of a default. It gives extra prayer on anything that restores prayer. The Nexus that holds all of our runes and ectoplasm, you can use either one. It doesn't matter. The Zemor Goals Nexus is from getting the 100 kill count at Vorkath. I have my prayer pouch, or my rune pouches, sorry, and that's just for all of my runes for spellbook swaps. If you want to be using Vengeance or Disruption Shield, anything like that, you can. I have my Elder Overload salve because I just like the one click of everything. I know they're expensive. You absolutely do not need to use salves or elders. You can use normal overloads, but these are just what I use for everything. We have our adrenaline potion, which use anything. You don't have to use it at all, but it does help a lot with your damage. It helps as a one click if you need a panic defensive to kind of instantly get that adrenaline up, whatever you might need. We have our restore flask for prayer points. We have both power bursts. You won't be needing the acceleration. This is just kind of my default preset, but you will want the power burst of vitality for the ice phase, and I will explain that a little later. Weapon poison is useless here, so ignore that because this is not a poisonable boss. Again, this is just kind of a default preset, one click, one stop shop for everything. Vulnerability bombs, you absolutely want those for anything you do. They're super helpful. Luck of the Dwarves for at the end. Next does have a pretty high drop rate on any broadcasts and uniques, so pushing that just a little bit further is kind of worth it in my opinion at this boss specifically. We have all of our Portents of Restoration, which are just my personal favorite, what I enjoy using, my go-to kind of free heals that I don't need to think about. And then Brews and Blubbers if I need to actively be healing. That's the inventory. So as for the gear, so this is my gear setup. We're going to be using the tank armor, and that is just to have this incredibly high health pool. It is just makes the whole fight a lot more relaxed and easy to deal with. We have the Zuck cape, which is super helpful in your damage. You absolutely don't have to have it, but it's definitely an upgrade worth getting. And if you need that, go check out my video on that. It should hopefully help you quite a bit. We have the Amulet of Fury, the Blood Amulet. That's just for kind of extra free heals. And it's just pretty cheap. If you have better Essence of Finality, Reaper Necklace Souls, any of that, go for it. Use them, feel free. But I'm just staying cheap here. We have our normal tier 90 gear with our basic perks that I've gone over before. And I have a video kind of going over all my perks, so you can check that out. Running the Ring of Death just because it's an easy ring that a lot of people who are learning PVM have. So if you have it, go for it. If you have better, again, feel free. And this is just the third of my rune pouches. And then I'm using the Book of Balance. It's a quest book. Then it's pretty cheap to go from normal to the illuminated version. And it's just a little extra helpful damage. And if you have any of the better books, the God Wars Dungeon 3 books, then by all means use them. I'm just using this because, again, it's cheap, it's easy to run, and it's kind of no hassle. As for auras, we're going to be running Penance just to show that you do not need a DPS aura for this boss. If you have one, Mazrat, Dark Magic, Supreme Invig, Inspiration, any of those that you want to use, feel free. If you find yourself struggling on health, then use Vampirism. But I'm just using Penance kind of to show that you can really do anything you want and you'll be just fine at this boss. Our final thing is our action bar, which I have it set up kind of for what you just saw. Is if I'm on a larger boss like Solak or Zami, I can throw shards in, but for Nex, it's not really necessary, so I just pull it out and I kind of fluctuate between the two, but this is universal for me for everything. And it's just conjuring everything, building your stacks, and commanding your skeleton and your ghost. Aside from that, in reality, there's only a couple things that you're doing manually, and that's going to be your Finger of Death, your Skulls, your Bloat, and your Volley. Really, you're only focusing on 4 abilities, and if you're not using the Zuck Cape, you're probably not going to be focusing on Skulls. It's just going to be Finger, Bloat, and Volley. I'm going to be kind of avoiding Skulls and Living Death if I can, if I remember, if I don't kind of autopilot it, just to show that you can kind of just run through this fight without doing anything crazy. And then as you grow, as you kind of push yourself and get more used to it, then you are free to do so. With that being said, let's get started with the fight. So you're going to come in here, you're going to do uninstanced if you want to. If there's no one around, kind of crash you, then by all means, but I'm just going to do instanced. Previously, before Necromancy, you would do instanced simply to kind of force the overhead prayers on the last phase, so you could make sure that she's not praying reflect against you. But now that we have Necromancy, that's, as of right now, since they haven't changed her overhead prayer abilities, it's kind of a non-issue. So you can do uninstanced, you can do instanced, you can do whatever you want. But either way, we are going to start the fight. We're going to hop on down, and then where I like to personally stand is there's this tile right here. That's sort of my go-to area for this first phase, and that is mostly because she has a drag mechanic in the center, and if you stand here, then she's not going to be able to hit you with it. So you're going to do anticipate, and the reason I like to do anticipate is because she has a other mechanic where she'd basically pull you towards her and drag you and turn off your prayers. So if you just kind of have anticipate and freedom up throughout this whole part, it won't happen. And you're just going to be running your, Bloat, Finger of Death, Skulls, get her down, and once she's down to 160, you're going to move on to the minion. And I kind of like to just bloat the minion and then let the basics ride, and then you're moving on to the next phase. So your screen's going to get dark, you're going to see these shadows underneath you. Just step one tile away and they won't really do much, but you can also just kind of tank them and eat the damage, and it's also not a problem. And then once she's down to 120,000, we are on to Umbra. Again, just bloat, and then let your souls build and kind of get ready for the next phase, because the next phase is the blood phase. So as we can see, you're going to kind of keep an eye on her, and while her wings are in this built up weird spot, you're not going to do anything. And then once she's kind of moving towards you and back to attacking you, that's a good sign that you can attack her without healing. If you turn red, just run away from her and surge, and you're good to go. And the biggest thing on the blood phase is not to use bleeds. So do not bloat her on this phase. And if you see she says a siphon will solve this, her health starts going up, just stop attacking. And then once she is back to normal, then you know you're good to go to attack her again. And it's really an easy phase if you just kind of don't use bleeds and you just go nice and slow and don't rush and don't panic. So once you get it down to 80,000, you're going on to Cruor. And again, bloat, whatever you want to do. At this point is where I would use the Excalibur, only because you want to have high health. So if you see this, you're going to use Freedom, you're going to use your Power Burst of Vitality, and now you have a crazy amount of health, and it hits for 7k, and you're totally fine. So you're going to whittle her down. When she says contain this, you just want to make sure that you're not standing right near her, because then she kind of throws ice around herself, and again it'll hit you. So once she's down to 40,000, she's going to do this again, but just eat up and have over 7,000 health, and you're good to go. That's the cool part about having this monstrous health pool, is that as long as you have high health, you're good to go, and you can kind of eat through it. So I just showed there that not even having full health, not having all the health you could possibly have, you're still fine. You can just eat through everything and you're good to go. And I'm going to be showing in next kills just kind of over and over again that it's not a mechanic to be worried about. And then you just kind of death mark and finish her off, and you're done and done. You have time to swap to your luck ring, hopefully get some sort of broadcast, but if not, that's fine. And that's really the whole fight. It's nothing crazy, it's nothing super difficult, and hopefully this kind of shows you just how easy it is. And like I said, I didn't really use skulls or living death at any point. I didn't use split soul at any point. So there's so many ways for you to increase your damage dealt and make this fight faster. And if you also are taking too much damage, I have a Bunyip familiar, because it's just, again, really cheap, really easy to use and deal with, and it just kind of passively heals me. But if you find yourself taking more damage than you'd like to, then you can swap to a Hellhound, which will make you take much less damage. You could swap to the Aegis Aura, which makes you take much less damage, and that's primarily for that ice phase. It drops it from hitting 7,000 to almost hitting 5,000, which with an almost 15,000 health pool, that pretty much means you can deal with that mechanic 3 times and it still won't kill you, as long as you're just eating a little bit in between. But aside from that, hopefully this helps, and I'm just gonna let a kill or two ride, and best of luck.